Story 1. Menstruation. Menstruation can cause many women severe indigestion, and there is no experience quite like having three different fluids coming from the body at the same time. Story 2. We have more body hair than some men seem to think. Many of us, in addition to shaving our legs, also shave our toes. Story 3. The way some men lead with disgusting, degrading, or dehumanizing sexual comments or demands is repulsive. Even if a woman likes being submissive and degraded in bed, you need to build a base level of trust and safety first so she feels cared for, respected, comfortable, relaxed, and safe. She should enjoy the experience rather than feel violated or threatened. It is only attractive if there is an underlying connection with the man. If you want to have a power dynamic, build up to it playfully. Story 4. If you do not do your share of the chores, then in our minds you become a child to care for, and we lose attraction and desire. Story 5. We are much more similar than we are different. Many men seem to see women as a completely different species, but we are not. I wish more men would see us as peers, perhaps with different life experiences, but still fundamentally the same at the core. Story 6. Men with large penises, be proud if you want, but keep in mind that it can hurt some women. The bigger it is, the more foreplay, communication, and gentleness are needed the first time. Don't assume it will be amazing for everyone. You have to check to make sure your partner is okay and stop if they are not. Vaginas cannot handle every size immediately because they are capable of childbirth, which is a very different process. Seriously, stop if your partner is not okay. In fact, no matter your size, always check that your partner is comfortable. You don't know what is going on in their mind unless you ask. No orgasm is worth traumatizing someone. I was sexually assaulted by a well-endowed man who was so proud of it that he couldn't comprehend it could hurt. Then he did not care that it hurt and ignored my bleeding and panic. He seemed to think he was a god in bed and that I must be crazy for not enjoying it. Even after I asked him to stop, he kept going, focusing on himself and perhaps thinking I would change my mind. My grades slipped because it was hard to study for a week afterward due to constant pain, swelling, and possible post-traumatic stress disorder. I still have nightmares about it and possible nerve damage. Story 7. Just because we are nice does not mean we are interested. Kindness does not equal flirting. A woman being polite is not a green light, and rejecting someone does not make her cold or rude. Story 8. Every woman you know has been sexually harassed. 99% of them were sexually harassed for the first time before age 18. 1 in 3 women have been sexually assaulted. Story 9. We see much more blood than they ever will. There seems to be a stereotype that men love gore because they are tough and women are silly and squeamish, but this is simply untrue. Story 10. You know what female body part develops from the same fetal tissue that turns into the penis? It is not the vagina. It is the clitoris. You may think you are impressive for focusing on penetration, but if you are not making an effort to touch the clitoris, it is like someone having sex with you without touching your penis. Does that sound like enjoyable sex to you? Story 11. We want you to increase the foreplay, be more affectionate, and make us feel like we are the most beautiful people on the planet, with no one else ever able to compare. Story 12. The first few minutes it takes a person to decide if they want to sleep with us is also the time we decide if they are a safe person to be around. Story 13. When they get married, they have to share childcare and housework equally. This does not mean making a list. It means sweeping the floor if there is something on it, and doing weekly chores. You know there is a field trip next week because you look at the school schedule. If you do not do this, your wife will be exhausted and lose interest in intimacy because she is tired and feels like she is caring for her son, not her life partner. This is why marriages lose their spark. It is not a mystery. Story 14. We can say the exact same thing as a man and be taken less seriously or talked down to more than a man would. Many of us have to work harder to be seen as competent, especially by certain groups of men. This is especially apparent when it is less obvious that I am a woman online, and I am not talked down to nearly as often. Story 15. Talking about money, the grind, and the hustle are some of the most unattractive qualities I have ever witnessed. Women work, and we can take care of ourselves. We want a best friend and partner. Story 16. When a man is unfaithful, he can disrupt his partner's pH balance and cause her to develop urinary tract infections and yeast infections. His partner can also contract these infections, and he will continue to transmit them if no one is treating the condition. This can also apply to bacterial vaginosis. Story 17. Many of us struggle with a chronic loneliness epidemic, emotional repression, feeling like our worth is defined by our ability to provide, and high suicide rates as well. These issues do affect men, and it is difficult, but they are not solely men's issues. Please feel free to talk about these issues and how they affect you as a man. However, do not suggest that women cannot relate. Story 18. Compliment her, especially if she takes time to get ready to go out with you. Any genuine compliment is always appreciated. Please wear appropriate clothing on a date. Ask what she is wearing and choose something suitable for yourself. We do not want to feel like your mother. It is disappointing if we dress up nicely and you come out looking like you are going to a sports venue. Story 19. Women can also struggle with commitment and emotional vulnerability. That is not just a male issue. Women are often labeled unfairly for it. Story 20. Joe Rogan and the rest of the manosphere can only make big money off your misery as long as they keep you miserable. Seriously, women generally do not hate men nearly as much as they want you to believe about everyday matters, such as just existing in public. However, behaviors like harassing, stalking, and putting sexual pressure on someone are a big deal and need to stop. Stop believing people who are not women if you want to actually hear what women think. Story 21. Not taking no for an answer and lingering around women who have made it very clear your presence is not wanted is completely inappropriate. It is genuinely very unpleasant, and I do not understand why some men still behave this way. It makes me want to defend myself strongly. Story 22. When a woman asks if you can do something, she means now. She does not want to circle back and follow up on whether the trash was taken out. Story 23. Garlic and onions can cause vaginal odor similar to garlic or onions about an hour after consumption. Here is why. Compounds in the allium family. Garlic and onions contain sulfur-containing compounds responsible for their strong odor. These compounds are metabolized and released through various bodily secretions. Not always noticeable. Not everyone will experience this effect, and the intensity of the odor can vary. Temporary. The smell is usually temporary and should resolve within a few hours to a day or two. Normal bodily function. This is a normal bodily function, not a sign of infection, disease, or poor hygiene. Story 24. Just talk to us. Don't shut down when we don't get along about something. We are much more reasonable than you think. We just hate it when you shut down. Story 25. Man reading responses. Do men not think women are human beings? Many things, such as body hair and bodily functions, are often misunderstood. I do not know. Maybe since I have been married for years and try my best not to be one of those guys. But reality continues to surprise me. Story 26. Some men cannot understand the possibility that they may be less interesting, intelligent, or capable than any woman they date. These situations are the most confusing for a misogynist who has been rejected. Story 27. Sometimes we are mean not because we necessarily dislike you, but because we do not want you to think we are interested in you. It is less of a headache than being nice and having to reject advances. Sorry. Story 28. Most of us have been harassed or assaulted in some way by men. It is not just a small group of outliers doing it. Every man who comes here to invalidate this is being seen. Story 29. If you do not make us feel special as the object of your desire, then we will not be interested in sex. Most of us could have sex with any person we meet, so if you treat sex with us as an expected and normal part of the relationship, then your sexual advances will feel interchangeable with anyone's advances, which is repulsive. You have to make us feel like you care about us in particular throughout the entire experience, from the advance to the recovery. Story 30. I was hit on more by grown men when I was between the ages of 12 and 17 than I am now at 24. This is not uncommon, and many of my friends have also experienced this. Call out your inappropriate friends. Story 31. Sometimes I don't want you to fix it. I don't want you to give a bunch of logical solutions to my nuanced emotional problems. Just listen and tell me you understand, even if you have no idea. Hug me and ask if I want you to roll me a blunt or make me a snack. I just want your ear and your love. You don't have to fix my problems. Story 32. The reason we are nice to you is not because we are attracted to you. We are either being nice because that is who we are as people, or we are afraid you will harm us if you do not like what we have to say. Being nice only to people you are attracted to is a mean thing. Story 33. I would love to be intimate with you without a romantic relationship. However, you need to care about my pleasure and ensuring I reach orgasm as well. Story 34. Beauty is expensive. Anyone can be a 9 to 10 with enough time and money. Here is a short list of average prices. Lasts up to a month. Gel manicure $60, gel pedicure $80, waxing for underarm, legs, bikini line, and eyebrows $150, lash extensions $130, keratin hair treatment, think soft and silky, $250, cut and blowout $80, hair extensions $600. Dyeing hair is $350 to $1,000 initially. Going lighter or with lots of different highlights is more expensive. And then, monthly treatments for $80 so it does not turn brassy or yellow. Guys need to keep that in mind when they are upset that a woman expects basic effort while they are feeling entitled to models on Instagram. There is a girl I know who is drop-dead gorgeous, and I heard she spends $1,800 a month and an average of 5 hours a week on extensions, tanning, and all the above. Thank you. Story 35. There is a level of self-awareness that women have ingrained in them since birth. We are cultivated to be givers from a young age. As we get older, many of us unknowingly become exhausted by this and fall into burnout repeatedly. What men are not ready to hear is that so much of their daily lives and lack of self-awareness affect us, and neither party truly recognizes it until it is too late. I wish more men would see how much we are expected to give, and more women would speak about this with their loved ones, especially partners, about this dichotomy. I believe it could truly change the world. Story 36. We are not mind readers. Just because we have the gift of intuition does not mean we know what you think or want. Story 37. Some of us do hit on men, usually more subtly. Those who claim that women never do so either are never hit on themselves or don't realize that when a woman randomly starts a conversation with a man, it might be because she is interested in him. Of course, that is not always the case. Story 38. If you only see women as romantic or sexual partners, you are very likely treating most women as if they do not matter, whether you realize it or not. You may also treat the remaining women as though they only matter for one reason. This attitude makes you unlikable. Think of women as people, regardless of your personal level of attraction to them, and you might find yourself becoming a more likable person. Story 39. Esther Perel said that women do not lose interest in sex when they are in a relationship. They lose interest in the sex they can have with that particular man in that relationship. Story 40. Sex workers do not like you at all. They pretend to like you because you pay them. If they tell you that you are cooler than the other clients and that they enjoy being around you, they are doing their job well. It is not true. Most of them actually dislike you and find you repellent. Story 41. Sometimes we respond to your mansplaining with generic answers to avoid wasting our energy continuing the conversation with you. Story 42. Men whose bodies are sculpted by the gym are nice to look at, of course, but they are not usually our ideal. Story 43. Just because we may not be smiling does not mean something is wrong. If something is wrong, we are human and allowed to process and show emotion. Please stop asking us to smile. When you say it, it reminds us that you only think women exist for male comfort and gaze, and it is absolutely exhausting to be constantly reminded of patriarchal oppression. Story 44. You know how people say that women only like 10% of the male population? That is because many men do not put effort into their appearance. If you invest time in grooming, at least figuring out which haircut or no haircut suits you, you would attract more women. Smell is also an important factor. If you appear to have poor hygiene, you will only attract women who do not care about that either. Story 45. Not everyone is attracted to muscular individuals. Some of us prefer slender men, and some of us prefer men with average builds. Story 46. Female-dominated fields can be challenging. There is often a lot of gossip and backstabbing. Nursing can sometimes feel like a difficult environment. Story 47. Kicking between the legs hurts. All those nerves that are found in the penis are also present in the clitoris. Additionally, you are closer to bones than on a man, so it can be very painful. Story 48. Men and women actually have more in common than they are different. Our main difference lies in our sexual dimorphism. Beyond that, we are more alike than different. Story 49. We do not need your validation. In general, shout out to men who are doing their best. We see you. Story 50. I'm a guy, but I've had a lot of success surprising people with basic facts about the vagina and menstruation. I have some period horror stories that make me want to erase my memory. Story 51. Women with small breasts still need bras or some kind of support. Too often, men say that they think women do not need a bra, without considering the desire for a more defined and shaped silhouette, the discomfort of nipple chafing, the embarrassment of nipples showing through clothing, and the fact that even small breasts can be heavy and bouncing can be uncomfortable. Story 52. Our gut knows. You are not fooling us. We are choosing not to call you out because we are working through our own issues. But believe this, we already know. Story 53. There is a certain level of beauty at which being told one is beautiful stops being a compliment and becomes a fact. Story 54. We do not magically or biologically have better emotional intelligence skills. We have more developed skills due to the social expectations placed on us and because we are punished more harshly for not learning them. However, they are developed skills, not inborn, and a person can develop them even after childhood. Targeted emotional intelligence therapy can help with that. Story 55. When a woman cheats and a man takes her back, he is an idiot. When a man cheats and a woman takes him back, she is forgiving. Do not cheat, obviously, but can we change the narrative, please? Story 56. The vast majority of women do not want their partners watching pornography or sexualizing others outside their relationship. This issue receives pushback every time it arises. Story 57. Damn, my head will be cut. But here it comes. We are not focusing only on the top 20% of men. That is mathematically impossible. No, not all of us get 100 direct messages and likes a day, unless you are some drop-dead gorgeous, on the internet all the time type of woman. And no, the average woman is not getting almost as many compliments and as much interest as a conventionally attractive woman does. It is so tiring to hear men complain about this. The average woman lives an average life. Therefore, her days are probably not special, just normal. Men will not flow into her life like the river men believe they do. Story 58. I just saw a similar question on the Ask Men Reddit, so I'd like to say, 1. Yes, we women also think your stories are boring and carry unnecessary details. We hear you spinning tales to make yourself sound smarter or more macho. We women also think about sex a lot with random people on the street, coworkers, and your friends. It doesn't mean we are going to act on it. It's just thoughts. It's perfectly healthy and nothing to worry about. We are not the vanilla ones. You all are. Most women are as adventurous as you allow us to be. If you're boring in bed, judgmental, or we don't think you can handle it, we default to the naive submissive role because, if we are being real, that's all most of you can understand. We live in the same world as you. You all are not always the strong ones. I can't believe how many men on that post thought women live in some fluffy, cotton candy pink world, and that they are shouldering all the hardships of the world by themselves to protect us. You all are not visual creatures, while we crave emotional connection, or whatever excuse you tell yourselves to avoid basic hygiene. We would all appreciate it if you put a little more effort into your appearance. Story 59. Sexually, we are not so different from them. I could be with anyone and wouldn't care. I have very good self-control, as do many other women. I don't go around with any man I can. It has to be someone I am emotionally bonded with, in my opinion. However, I have friends who only want sex. We were taught to suppress that part of ourselves, but we are free to do so. Story 60. Just because a situation feels resolved in your head does not mean it is for others. Women more commonly need to talk through a situation more than once to feel comfortable with the outcome, usually revisiting it after some time has passed. It might feel frustrating to you if you have already moved on, but becoming defensive or annoyed will only make the situation feel more unresolved. This is not true in all cases, but it is true for many. Story 61. We do not need you. We can provide for ourselves, take care of ourselves, and are perfectly capable of leading wonderful lives without a male partner. We do enjoy your company if you have a good personality and choose to spend time or even your life with us. However, you must bring more to the table than the bare minimum of human decency. Story 62. When you stop putting effort into the relationship once it progresses beyond casual dating, we notice immediately. Eventually, we will leave you. Story 63. We know most of you are fantastic people who would never hurt anyone. However, a small minority of men are the biggest threat against us, and we need to be able to talk about this, support each other, and work for change. There is also a percentage of men who think or feel they are good men but have chosen at times in their lives to threaten, harass, assault, attack, or coercively control others. They may be your friends, family, admired figures, or even yourself. We are sorry if you have been made to feel bad by society or women, but trust us, it is not personally addressed to you. We want you to feel supported and loved, and we know you have also been hurt by men and women. So here is what you are not ready to hear. Many of you can do a better job of not inserting yourselves into the conversation when it is not helpful or useful and detracts from the good work we are trying to do in this area. Your feelings of being unfairly caught up in negativity do not outweigh our right to speak about our experience and fight for reasonable solutions and measures to reduce the shocking patterns and incidents of credible threats, stalking, sexual harassment, violence, and coercive control that women experience. If you are a man who has experienced violence, abuse, or coercive control, whether from male or female perpetrators, many of us are here to support you too, and we support your initiatives to support each other. We just ask that you do not specifically and only ask for this support and consideration when we are trying to fight for support and justice for women and girls. That said, on this thread, I am happy to hear your voices or opinions and offer support, so feel free to comment if you wish. To provide a helpful resource, Men's Line Australia is a great organization to support and a valuable resource if needed. Story 64. We are both humans, so stop calling us mysterious or hard to understand. We are mostly the same. I once read that if a conversation with someone keeps you conscious of your gender when you talk to them, then they are not doing you any good. It means they are being their gender before being a normal human. The people with whom you forget your gender are the real deal. You talk like two humans and do not care about saying or doing traditionally feminine things. I have only experienced this with my friends, my father, and my partner so far. They do not subconsciously treat me differently because I am a woman. I love it when someone talks to me normally and authentically, with my gender being irrelevant. Story 65. Women never leave out of the blue. They mentally check out weeks, months, or years before they physically leave. Story 66. You are on good terms with a molester and rapist at least, and you know they are not good people. Story 67. Stop telling lesbians and bisexual women that you can turn us straight. Stop acting like it is a joke. Comes off as coercive. You cannot turn us straight with your personality either. Story 68. Get therapy. Please get therapy. Crying does not make you weak. Also, stop going after women who have chosen not to have children. If they are child-free, believe them and move on. Find someone else. Do not waste your time trying to convince them. You will either end up nowhere or worse. Just move on. If no woman wants you, there is definitely something wrong with you. That is why I am telling you to get therapy to improve yourself. Never skip condoms. Do not skip condoms. No excuses. Also, if you do not want children at all, get a vasectomy as soon as you are an adult. No excuses if you are able. Seriously, do you want to pay over $300,000 for each child you have in total over the next 18 years in child support payments? Child support payments cannot legally be discharged in bankruptcy, and you can be jailed, lose your driver's license, have your wages garnished, or your tax returns seized for not paying child support. Think about that before your first or next one-night stand. Story 69. Sometimes we experience muscle spasms in the pelvic area, which can feel like an electric shock. Additionally, many women experience occasional pain in the right breast at random intervals. Story 70. Some of the most beautiful girls can be unusual. Do not assume you will get a typical one based on appearance. Story 71. Being funny, kind, having a decent job and some hobbies, being able to cook, clean, and present well, and not being a misogynist or having conservative political views are qualities much more important to most women than your height, muscles, or jawline. Many men refuse to consider average or not super conventionally attractive women despite being average or not conventionally attractive themselves and then wonder why they are lonely. Being a man with zero genuine female friends is a red flag. It makes it seem like you only see women as receptacles, and you scare women away. The male loneliness epidemic is self-imposed. Men lost their inherent identity because women have become equal enough not to have to date men to live, so men no longer get women as essentially indentured servants. If women won't date you unless they are financially forced by oppressive societal forces or culture, they never liked you, your father, or your grandfather. They were essentially enslaved. Women also lost an inherent group identity, albeit a bad one, when becoming enfranchised. Women banded together and had conversations about what women could be, who women are, and what womanhood can contain. Women cultivate intimate, honest, loving, and emotional friendships. Men refuse to redefine themselves on positive lines and are radicalizing to cope with no longer being gifted supremacy. They don't support each other, love each other, hold each other, or share emotional load. They expect women to do that labor and then start listening to toxic influencers because it is not a woman's job to mother your emotions and provide all support. Story 72. I don't put makeup on for you. I put it on because it looked good on my mother. In fact, 40 years later, I still use the same green color as hers. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.